Boy, oh boy, it's going to be a fun one tonight, folks. Welcome back to E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. It is Wednesday night, our Auburn family live stream, which we've done at 8 p.m. Eastern time since the dawn of time. Thank you guys so much for being here with us and hanging out with us tonight, whether you are watching live or on the replay. A lot of things to talk about, a lot of opinions to be shared. We'll dive into some of that. And there's some things that I don't want to get lost in the discussion that I know is going to drive this conversation tonight that I want to bring up at the at the very, I'm already all choked up about it at the very beginning of the show tonight. But this is a show that is produced by you and for you on Wednesday nights. We'll get into how you can get involved in the show here in just a second. But what we'd love for you all to do right now, we do this every single time for those of you that might be new to the channel. It's our check-in period for our live streams. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. However you'd like to do that. You can also smash the like button. You can share that on Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Helps people know that we are live and they can be part of the stream tonight. So do all those things for me right now, and we'll cover some of the boilerplate stuff at the beginning. We'll remind you throughout the stream tonight, but we are having an ongoing subscriber giveaway exclusively on YouTube. If you'd like to take part in that, all you have to do is subscribe and then leave a comment, not in the live stream, the comment after the fact in the comment section of the video, to be on any of the videos from the announcement date of the subscriber giveaway, to be entered into that free contest to win a signed Auburn football. The details will be listed in the description if you want more on that particular thing tonight. Also, our show is brought to you by allthingsauburn.net. We'll talk about them a little bit later on in the show. All right, let me jump right into this part of it. For those of you that want to know how you can call in, this is a show that's about your calls, your comments, your questions. The phone lines are now officially open, and you can do that. I'll bring that up right there. Call in at the top of the chat. If it's not up there, if you can't see it, please do let me know. You can call in and get in line, and we'll try to get you in and through if we have a lot of callers tonight. But your comments and your questions are always welcome in the chat. I haven't even said hello to everybody yet, and I know I see you guys already posting. So, but let me just kind of start out here tonight with the discussion. Obviously, if you're a part of Auburn Twitter, you'll know that the sky is falling once again. It can only fall so many times, people. Things are not going well for the football program in a holistic sense. In terms of on the field, off the field, latest news, obviously Landon King and now Tavares Dawson announced this week, with supposedly some more coming that I've been told. So don't be caught off guard if that happens. Obviously, there's a feeling right now around the fandom of panic, of fear, of devastation, of loss, all that kind of stuff. And we definitely can talk about some of those things, and we can definitely dive into that a little bit tonight. But I hope that we can have some more thoughtful, context-driven conversations about it, and not just fire Harsin, because that is, frankly, it's not as deep as it needs to go in terms of the discussion. Things aren't as simple as fire Harsin. But obviously, that may be coming down the line. We will discuss that a little bit later, or as we go throughout the stream tonight. So it'll be interesting to see where this takes us tonight. Basically, my point is this: if you are on the side of this is all Harsin's fault, he ruined these guys, you're wrong. If you're on the side of these guys are idiots and they shouldn't be making these decisions and how they're selfish and all that, you're also wrong. It's somewhere in the middle of that discussion. It's not either or, it's somewhere in the middle of that. So we'll dive into that as best we can tonight. I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about that. And I want to say hello to a few of you that are already in the chat. One reminder, though, live right now, well, not now, in a few minutes, Auburn volleyball is taking on in a big match. I do want to make sure I mention that, because after you get off the stream tonight, you'll want to go and tune into that match and support them if you can, because Auburn versus Florida ranked matchup, right? It's a big one that you don't want to miss. All right, let's say hello to some folks, and then we already have a caller in the bullpen there, so we'll bring them in just a second. We got Joe, Brian, Devin saying hello, Thomas, Lucia, there's Thomas, Rob's here, good to see you, Cast up and head into Auburn tomorrow. Ready to roll. Dustin from Picola. Brandon, normal guy. Well, I wish I was a normal guy. And a lot of familiar names there. So please do let me know if you're here. If you haven't checked in yet, would love to say hello to you in the chat. All right, let's go ahead and take our first caller tonight because I don't want us to get too far behind. We'll say hello to them and see what's on their mind. I'm sure it's related to this. What is going on, Mr. Brian?
Kyle, I can't hear you, so I got to call back in. Something's up.
You got to call back in? All right, call right back.
I can't hear you.
That's all right. We'll try. We'll keep trying. Brian can call back in whenever he can get that figured out over there. You can get in the queue if you'd like to as well. Go ahead and hit that call-in link, and you can be on camera or off camera, whichever you prefer. Brian was on camera. It can be done either way. You want to pose Brian a question? Well, he'll have to come back for that. Josh says, my question is, if Harsin is let go, I'm assuming you meant, why should Auburn look for those whole typos? Just they get some people sometimes, right? Where should Auburn look for a next head coach? Josh, I don't want to be a bubble burster here. We're not there yet, so there's no point in even entertaining this conversation. Cue certain individuals that want to come in about Deion Sanders. Just waiting for that one to pop in. They'll probably be there after the chat is over with. So I know that's boring. I know that's a little bit just kind of shooting you down there. There's really no point in discussing that right now because until there is a change, Coach Harsin is our head coach, and you're gonna have to find a way to be supportive of him and the players and the program until that time comes. I don't listen to Feinbaum, but Feinbaum says that Kiffin would absolutely leave Ole Miss for Auburn. I've heard that. I heard that as well, but you are referencing Feinbaum. So that kind of says a lot there, Unbeaten Lake. Let's say hello again to Brian. Let's see if we can hear him this time. Brian, you are sideways, sir.
You hear me? What the heck?
I can hear you, but you are sideways. That's all right.
How's that? Is that better?
That's better. I won't have to do this.
War Eagle, man. So
I just think you do this.
I don't know what the heck's going on.
How are you?
I had a Zoom call still open. That was the problem. So.
Oh, well, yeah, I've had that happen before where the audio settings can't connect between the two different things. So I get that.
Crazy. Yeah. So here's my thought. And I just tweeted this. I want to talk about the transfer stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to defend Harsin, which is going to floor you. But so everyone in February was telling me that you got to give Carson time. He's got to get his guys in there. You got to let him cycle through Gus's guys. Well, these are all Gus's guys that are transferring out. And now we're panicking. We're blaming Harsin that he's not staying. It's like, can we be happy about – I mean, either we're giving him a chance and we're going to let him bring his people in, or we're not. Or we're not.
Right.
So
right.
Which is it? Right? So if we're going to give him the time, we're going to let him bring his people in, then this is the growing pain that we have to accept.
Yeah. So here's where I kind of fall on that conversation point is I think you've been here around long enough. I try to kind of see both sides of the equation as best I can. And I obviously try not to ride the fence all the time, but I try to at least come at it from both sides of the conversation. I agree with you that I'm someone that said a lot here. 4 years minimum is what should be given to somebody to, especially in terms of recruiting and getting your people, your personnel right, even your coaches right. Cycle all that out of here, get all that stuff out of here. Will he get that time? That remains to be seen. Right. So yes, some of these guys are Gus's guys. Some of them are, not all of them. Probably the majority of, I think, we've all seen on Twitter the stats being given that it's the 2021 class that's lost 10 now, I think, of 18.
I think 10, yep.
10 of 18. So some of them are Gus's guys, but some of them weren't. So there is a little bit of an overlap there, but your point still stands. So he should be given time to kind of work through some of that. So it shouldn't shock anybody that you're still seeing some of that go on right now. That's what's really been interesting for me to watch is how overblown people leaving is. Like, you didn't see this coming? I saw this coming a mile away.
Yeah, and as you pointed out in your video this afternoon, some of it's just these guys reading the tea leaves and saying, I'm not going to get to play because of where I am on the depth chart and who's coming next. I got to go somewhere else to get an opportunity. I mean, So I know we all want the sky to be falling at everything that happens right now, but if and I've decided to let Harson have his chance. I mean, you've convinced me. Then you got to let him have his chance, and you got to be willing to deal with the growing pains. And people
Right.
need to take a deep breath. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, I think that a lot of, and listen, most people want to be social media famous. They want to get the clicks and stuff. And so playing into this kind of, I'm not talking about media people. I'm talking about just the general public. I mean, when I was younger too, I played into that a little bit. So
Sure.
it's fun to jump in on this a little bit and kind of get the clicks and the reactions and stuff. But I don't want it to be lost also that this is a good thing. Like, people leaving the program mid-season is not a good thing. It is not us sweeping it under the rug and saying everything's fine. It's not as bad as you think it is. These are things that happen sometime. Now, there are a lot of rumors circulating out there about more to come. Is this the signs of things that are only going to get much worse? Maybe it is. We won't know until that time arrives. But everything that's happened so far with players deciding to leave has not shocked me, to be quite frank. Now, if we got a Camden Brown maybe decide to sit out or leave, or whatever categorization you want to put there, that might kind of shock me a little bit, because that's a guy that's been utilized and is now saying, I'm done. But you're seeing, and listen, I think you noted that I had a video about this. I'll say it again here in the live stream. I hate talking bad about Auburn players, and I'm not meaning to talk bad about Landon King or Tavares Dawson, but they didn't play a whole lot. Now, I don't know the reasons for that. Everybody claims to have a source that knows the reasons for that. Maybe it was Harsin just didn't want to play him. It could have been. But I'm probably going to lean on the case that that's not exactly the truth there.
I got to believe that if a player could help us win football games right now, that our coach would be more than happy to put him on the field.
I would obviously.
I'd be shocked that he's going to not do everything he can to win football games right now.
I would 100% agree with you on that. While you're here, let me go ahead, because I told you a long time ago that I owed you an apology.
Yeah, and I'm still baffled at what on earth it could be for.
Because, Brian, the first time you called in, I think you were a little nervous about it because you thought I might go after you. Yeah. Maybe that's because I had you pinned for somebody else that called in previously, like a couple weeks before you, with also the name Brian. Sorry if you're watching. Who really misbehaved. And so I probably had it in my mind still that was you and the other guy, that I really got after him too.
Oh, all right. Well, you can come at me anytime you want. I don't care, but yeah.
I don't want to come at anybody, but I think people who were here for that live stream will remember how ridiculous at the time that individual was being. Sorry if you're watching, but it was ridiculous. Yeah. So I think that's kind of where some of my responses to you, and kind of probably some of even my commentary about your comments, got me on my end misconstrued and stuff, because you are not the same person, clearly.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. But I've been hard on Harsin, but I've decided if we're going to roll this out, then let's support him and let it roll out until
I agree.
Until the day comes, and that day might come. Who knows? But he's our coach. I'm surprised he's still our coach after the bye, but he is. So let's support him. So
yeah, I agree. I understand that it's hard to support right now. I truly do. I'm not saying that he's given you a whole lot of reason to support him, but he's still your coach and he's still part of the Auburn family. And that's a reason enough. And if that's not reason enough for you, not just speaking hypothetically, rhetorically here, what's the word I'm looking for? Just as a overwash here.
Yeah.
Then you really need to check yourself. Just kind of speaking to everybody that's watching or listening right now. Anything you got? I don't have any other callers, so you're more than welcome to stay for a few more minutes if you'd like. But if you got to go,
so I was gonna. Is there like an E2C tailgate that goes on at Auburn football games or not?
No, there is not. We have had some requests for that. The trouble with that is that I live way out of town, like way out of town.
You live out of town?
I'm actually in Northwest Georgia. Believe it or not. Yeah. So, well, you're you're basically in another country. Yeah. So I would love to do that someday. I will tell everybody that comes to game days that I'm usually there. Come to Tiger Walk, right in front of the Tiger Walk banner that is hoisted up for every one of those. I usually live stream right from there. That's kind of like an unofficial meetup just for everybody to say hello. We've had people come all season do that. So that's right now the best that we're doing that. I have hopes for that one day, but that's a great question.
All right. I plan to still get there to one of these remaining games this year. So
got 3 left. We better get on it.
I know, man. I know. All right. You have a good night, War Eagle.
War Eagle. Thanks for calling, Brian. All right. Great to hear from Brian. And you can also call in tonight if you'd like to. Don't be shy. Please do hit that link. And by the way, I am wearing a Tough shirt tonight on purpose, not to sponsor Ford, or act like they're a sponsor, but to say, hey, it's pretty tough right now. But yeah. Linda says, hopefully we'll see you at Tiger Walk. Are you going to the baseball game? Yeah, my plans for this weekend tentatively would be to arrive on Friday. I'm going to be going to Reverse Tiger Walk. That's not really officially happening, but it happens usually around between 3 and 3:30. You can just show up there. They're not really advertising it right now. I have an event that I am scheduled to be at between 3 and 4. Then I'll be around between 5 and 6 at the locker room tour, and then baseball game shortly after that. So I'm going to have a very busy schedule, but I'm ready to be back in the loveliest village on the plains. All right. Trying to catch back up here on some of the rest in peace, other Brian. Hey, the other Brian can call back in, but I'm going to call a spade here. His call and his things were, a lot of you remember, it was ridiculous. It really was. Couldn't have a reasonable conversation. I hope he can do better. King was improving on the field, Josh says. So, Josh, I guess what I would ask of you, what do you mean improving on the field? What is improving on the field? Because maybe I'm missing something. I will admit that is a high possibility. I am a far imperfect person, and I could miss things. But I don't know where this notion is that Lanning King had been improving on the field. He had one great catch this season. That's improvement. Everybody can have one great catch. A lot of people give Shedrick Jackson a ton of flack for last year, especially. He had a really great catch, and that's probably the big one that everybody remembers of him in the Georgia State game. Is that improvement? So I'm not trying to not be rude, but like that's a narrative that I see online a lot. He was improving. Walk that one out for me just a little bit. Maybe he was. Maybe I missed it. I could absolutely be wrong. So if you have an answer for that, please do post that. I may be a little bit behind in chat here, though. Kyle, what do you think is the biggest improvement this offense needs to make to score more than 17 to 20 points against good defenses? The offensive line, point blank and simple. That's it. That this team doesn't matter. Said this 1,000 times here. I feel like I'm a broken record for some of y'all that have been here for a long time. It doesn't matter who the coach is, who the quarterback is, who the running back is, who the offensive coordinator is. It doesn't matter who the water boy is. If you can't push people around in the offensive line, you will not win the football game. Look what happened in the Ole Miss game. We moved people around. It's a novel concept, isn't it? It's something we haven't seen in quite some time. Tank Bigsby was given time to do what he does best, roll people over and break up. When he gets into the second layer of the defense and third layer, make cuts. It's a novel concept, but I mean, it's as simple as that. The offensive line has to continue to progress. Now, they've had a lot of injuries, but we've seen some pieces moved around, and maybe that's the combination that works now. I don't know. We'll find out in a few days here. Andrea asked on Facebook, do you think he'll finish the season? I mean, I think that's the conventional wisdom right now, barring a complete, which is possible as well. If he nosedives here, losing to Arkansas, losing to Mississippi State, excuse me, I'm not even going to venture to say that he'll lose to Texas A&M. Listen, y'all think it's bad for Auburn right now? You ain't watching Texas A&M close enough. That place is falling apart with the recruits, with the money, falling apart. So if you think it's bad, just take a look over there in the West a little bit. Stan, good to see you. Thanks for being here tonight. I think the bye week was much needed for the team as well as the coaching staff. It's a cool-off period to regroup. Well, it was for the team, not for the fans. And find out if they can still move forward. Why Brandon asks why Landon King wasn't used on the field. I'm going to use the favorite phrase that everybody's kind of taken out of context and having fun with on social media. I wasn't in the meetings. Listen, I don't know the reasons. I think Brian earlier on this call made a really great point and said, I would think the way things are right now, if there's a guy that's going to make a huge difference for us, I'm going to put him out there, probably no matter what. I would hope that's a no matter what, because there's got to be some standards. So, Brandon, it may be as simple as he was not doing the things that he needed to do to be out there on the field. I know that's not the fun answer because it's not sexy. It doesn't have a lot of reason to make us further mad at Harsin. And I'm not trying to point blame because I'm Landon King or Tavares Dawson. I don't have any information on that. So, but I think it's just as high of a likelihood that it was their issue as it much was Harsin being dumb or stupid or things like that. When I talk about earlier when we were starting the show about context, that's what I'm talking about. Everyone's first thought, fire Harsin. It's much deeper than that. I promise you it is. It's not as cut and dry as we think it is. But that's just my opinion. I still promise you it, though. A lot of the coaching staff was on the road recruiting this off week. It's amazing what you can do when you have time, right? And they did make a point to remind people about that. All right. I think Josh is responding to what I asked earlier about Landon King. What was the improvement he saw? His snaps and production had gone up. So what do you mean by the production? I'd love for you to call in, Josh, if you could, because I think this is a conversation we could really have a little bit better if it was on the phone. No pressure. I know it can be a little bit intimidating, not because of me, just because I get calling into something. But please do call in. I'd love to dive into this a little bit further with you. I don't know that we're going to be able to adequately do this. It's just going to be me and going back and forth on it. We do have another caller, so let's go ahead and say hello to him. I hope he's ready. Mr. Thomas Manville, what's going on, sir?
War Eagle, y'all. How are y'all this evening?
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm jammed up jelly tight.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, how about the women's golf?
Listen, I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I know everybody, half of y'all are now tuning out. That's fine. But that's why you're probably angry Auburn fans. Listen, I am pumped right now as an Auburn fan because, yeah, the football team's struggling a little bit, but we got a men's and a women's team today that won a humongous tournament, a prestigious tournament over in Atlanta today, having an outstanding fall season. So to men's, women's, to a volleyball team that's going off the wood, if you can't find a reason to be happy as an Auburn fan, I can't help you. There's nothing I can do for you because there's a lot to be excited about.
Absolutely right. Plus volleyball and basketball's about to get started back.
Preach it, brother. I'm excited for that.
Yes, absolutely. But I'll talk about something I never talk about, and that's recruiting.
Oh, the dreaded recruiting. What you got on recruiting?
Dangerous territory, I know. But let's be honest about it. So we've made some good strides over the last 2 months, maybe 3 months in recruiting. We've made some good strides.
A little bit.
But how hard is it, honestly, to recruit if a fan base is trying to kill off a coach? And I'm not trying to stir up a pot here. I understand that. But look, if you want these 5 stars and 4 stars and whatever stars to come to your school and contribute, you don't give them a reason to not go to that school.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans influence that far more than we realize, and we influence NIL more than we realize.
Right.
So as upset as we are, and as sunshine pumping as I am right now, we've got a great opportunity to help try to turn this thing around. And why would we not take it? I can't find a reason to not take that opportunity right now.
Right. It's a tough conversation because I understand that everybody's frustrated, and Twitter, I've heard the statement a lot, that's what Twitter's for. Well, that's not necessarily what Twitter has to be for. That's what you've chosen to utilize it as. And a lot of people have chosen it to vent your frustrations, which is why I try personally. That's just my own goal, to pepper in as much positivity as I do, maybe negativity. I try to be balanced, not perfect at that, but it's just the way things are. Sometimes, we're all imperfect people. So if you're dismissing the notion that fans affect the recruiting, you're not being honest and you're not being a context-focused person. You're being emotional. If you are saying that fans are the only things that dictate that, you're also being emotional and you're not being context-driven. But there is a significant factor. I have a personal story that I'm not allowed to share because it's someone's personal information of someone choosing not to come to Auburn because of the fans and how they behave on social media. Sure. The notion that comes in right there then is, why would you want them to come here if they can't handle a little criticism? That could be a valid point. Could be. But is that really what we want to be known about? We're the Auburn family. We're supposed to be different.
Right. We're called to be different as Auburn fans based on the Auburn creed. We are. So if you're not willing to do it, I'm not gonna trash you, but come on, man. Do the absolute best you can for Auburn, or just don't talk about it.
Yeah. It's a very unhealthy way, I think, to behave online to trash, especially recruits that may be making that decision. And I would argue too, in some people's, that's probably a place I don't need to go right now. So I'm going to try to reel myself back in tonight, behave a little bit because I am stirring the pot a little bit tonight. Your point, we affect recruiting. Yes, we do. But we also have to acknowledge that the coaching staff, in terms of success on the field, hasn't done a whole lot to help this as well. So the recruiting has some momentum. Things that we've wanted to see, right? Offensive line recruits finally coming in to some degree. Are there more to come? Who knows? You can't get anybody to focus on that right now because everybody's worried about who's the next one to drop. But we will never know unless we give them the time to do so. My fear is that just won't happen.
Yeah, you're right. And it's a good point, and it's a completely valid point. It really is. But how about these guys leaving the program? Is it playing time? Is it you don't like the system?
Probably
What really?
both.
Or is there writing on the wall that nobody else is seeing?
Yeah, I think that's a convoluted conversation too, because I've thought about this one a lot and I could see it going several different ways. I find it interesting that they would do this, and if they know Harson's gone, why not just stick it out and play? I mean, because some of these guys are, I think didn't Landon use his red shirt last year already? Am I mistaken in that?
I can't quote you on it. I'm not 100% sure.
No, because then we wouldn't be having this discussion about he was not told he couldn't use them. So that's a moot point. So now I'm finally connecting the dots in my head on that. I just find that really interesting. I think there's a lot of fishy stuff that I can't really wrap my brain around about why you would do that. But I also understand that these kids are trying to make the best possible decision for themselves. And to say that they're completely being selfish is wrong, but it is a conversation worth having. This is a team sport. It's not supposed to be about I, but it's a business as well for a lot of these kids that this is their future. So it's really, really hard for me to take a solid, concrete stance on the right and wrong of this situation. That's why my general stance is I hate that they're going, but I'm going to support them as long as they don't drag Auburn through the mud. Stanley McGlover. I know I brought something up there for you. When you throw Auburn under the bus, you're done in my eyes. I shouldn't say even if we did something wrong, because obviously there are caveats to everything. But if you drag Auburn through the mud once you've left, I'm done.
Oh, and he was so well loved when he was here, and that's the worst part. If you're a backup tight end on special teams, I'm not that mad at you, but dadgummit,
yep,
love it really. Come on, man.
I agree. I do have one in the bullpen here. So if you have another comment or question you want to kind of end with, let's do that.
As far as the guys transferring out, it could have been due to playing time. But if you're impacting the team that much and making that much of a contribution, you're going to be out there. This coaching staff has clearly made changes along the offensive line, the quarterback position, personnel groupings on defense. They are not afraid to put the best guy for the job in. So if these guys that just left were the best guy for the job, I feel like they would have been out there. But we don't really know. We're not a fly on the wall at the meetings, but you don't do something wrong just to give somebody playing time to keep them there. Like we've talked about Robert Woodyard. Why is he not playing? He may have been one of the best linebackers out there, but if he's not ready to play in the SEC, he's not ready to play in the SEC.
Right. Well, and ready means being mentally ready, maturity-wise. And I think I keep talking about deeper conversations because that's a real thing that's happening here that nobody really wants to dive into, especially on social media, because you can't. This is really a commentary on us. Yes, winning is the most important thing in sports, but it still shouldn't be the most important thing. How you win is the most important thing because that makes it much, much sweeter. And yes, that's the longer road. That's the harder road. But I'm going to say what I've said a lot here on the show. That's the Auburn road. And that's why it's so special to be part of the Auburn family, because we choose, or at least we have in our history, I hope we still continue to do that, have chosen the harder road because it was the right road. We'll see if that continues. But I appreciate you calling in tonight. It's always great to hear from you, sir.
Hey, I'll quote Vince Lombardi on the way out. Winning isn't everything, but wanting to win is. War
Love
Eagle.
it. Great way to end right there. I will address one comment that was brought up. I'm trying to find it here before we go to our next caller. Kyle, are you going to 8 tonight? Rough, just before. I'll get off a little bit before that probably. Part of the reason I went early tonight, because normally we start at about 8, is because, or excuse me, 7. Hold on. You guys have got me off of my times because you're talking about Central Time. We normally start at 8, go to 9, and Eastern Time. But because of how hot everything was and because of the volleyball game, it just kind of felt like we might want to go ahead and get a little bit started tonight because I felt like there were a lot of opportunities and distractions out there. All right. He has been very patient. I asked for him to call him. I'm assuming who this is who that is. Is this Josh? Josh? Hey, how are you doing, buddy?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can
Good.
you hear me?
So I can. So the Landon King thing production with watching, rewatching things and watching the all 22, you could see that he was making strides and improvement on the field. Okay. So what I mean, if he was running a outside route, he would set his defender up with his first move to go to the inside to get himself open. The problem with this, we didn't see him targeted more, is a O-line would break down 3-4 seconds, and Robbie's running for his life.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the same from last year, yep. Yeah, I agree with you. So the offensive line definitely doesn't help that situation.
That's where I was saying that the production and his snaps were going up until I can't remember. It was after the Penn State game. I want to say Missouri. After Missouri, he took a drastic decline in snaps per game, and I was like, okay, what's going on here? Maybe he's hurt, tweaked something.
So
because I was
why
seeing
else do you think
things
his snaps
get better
down?
with him? I don't know if there's off the field issues that we don't know about that they're not letting out. If he just checked out because he was like, okay, this season's done. There's nothing we can achieve anymore. I mean, he's, I think, 19. He's still early in his career, so he's probably checked out and said, okay, I'm done. I'm going to wait and see what happens with this team. And then he wanted a red shirt this year and supposedly was told no, so he said, I'm going to transfer.
Right. Yeah, I think any of those are possibilities of why he could have decided to ask for a red shirt if that was true and denied it if that was true. And I think we're not going to know the real reason behind this. That's the great thing about social media these days. These players have the opportunity to share whatever they want to share if they choose to do so. I would highly recommend that Landon doesn't do that, not for his time at Auburn or anything, but just for his future in collegiate athletics. But I would love to know. I would love to know his side of the story. I'd also love to know what the coaches were seeing. I guess my big question to you would be: so if you saw the improvement, do you think it's fair to say the coaches saw the improvement?
I mean, they should have been. They increased his snaps. Because
so
beginning of the year he was averaging around 8 to 12, and then Penn State and Missouri he was up there around 20, 24.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Missouri, he fell off the table.
Yeah. So something changed. Coaches saw what we were seeing because they increased his snaps. So I think it's a fair assumption to assume, and that's all we're doing, is that something probably off the field happened, whether it was practice related,
or within the program.
I think the coaches are probably at a point
within the program.
Go ahead.
Within the program, what I mean by is he checked himself out.
Gotcha. Now I'm on the same.
Done with this team this year.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, his snaps went down, and I know it's frustrating to watch, but don't you want your coach to make that call if they have checked out? And again, not saying that that happened, but I think it's a fair question to ask that it have. So don't you think that's probably the right thing to do for a coach if they have checked out?
Yeah, if he 100% checked out, put him on the bench because he's not going to give 110%.
Yep.
Like he was.
But there's been a lot of also.
He really had a good connection with Cornelius last year, the receivers.
Right.
And when he left, that's when he went into a slump last year, is because he had a real good connection with him, and that's last year affected him.
Right.
And now this year he came back in, was working hard, and then something else has happened.
Yeah. I just wish we knew the answers to
and
it,
he's
man,
just the one that
we'd
I
have a lot of
on.
less frustrations.
Yeah. And he's the one that I focus on because he's the player right now that has contributed the most to this team this year.
He's contributed the most
were
to the
just role
team.
Players.
Landon's are you saying in terms of compared to the other ones that have left? Now
in terms of the transfers.
Yeah.
The ones that have transferred. So they're transferring.
I agree with that. Yeah. It's frustrating. It is really frustrating. So I think we have a little bit of a delay.
I'm still going to support the team. Still going to watch every game. I'm not going to, and it's like, I'm done with it. Check out myself. But if something isn't done within the program,
right,
whether that's position coaches, head coach, some players need to leave, some don't need to leave, whatever it is, Harson's the guy it's his job to figure it out. And if he's the one that needs to leave, that's the AD's job when they are hired to figure that out.
It's hard to do when you don't have an AD, though, or a true AD. And nothing against Rich McGlynn. I'm sure he's doing the best that he can with what he's walked into. But it's hard to make decisions on a football coach when you don't have an AD.
Correct. We could be Texas A&M paying a lot more money to get the same result.
That is a very fair statement, and I think that shows a lot of good perspective on your part. That's the one good thing here is that we pay out if he did get fired, we pay out a lot of money to him, but not as much as Jimbo. Not as much as Jimbo.
Yeah, because they're going to have to Jimbo for the next 2 to 3 years, I think. Because they won't be able to come up with the buyout.
Yeah, it always be worse. That's the great thing about this. As bad as things seem like on social media right now, you could always be Texas A&M, and I'm sure Texas A&M fans would echo that sentiment right now. I'm going to try to get one on in the coming weeks when we do our preview with them. It'll be interesting to hear their take on that, if Jimbo is even still there at this point. And we'll basically be lamenting our statuses together.
Yeah. One question for you before I get off.
Sure.
The O-line situation, this roster for the 2023 season is looking very grim across the whole board.
Yeah.
That's with the receivers leaving left and right now, DBs leaving. This 2023 roster, it's looking like we need to sign 25 to 27 kids to be able to field a talented enough team for next year to be competitive.
Yeah. And I mean,
we're
obviously
sitting at
recruiting
11.
and transfer portal, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, you need more portal than freshmen because they have the college experience. I mean, you're sitting current 11 signees, but 11 committed.
Yeah.
By early signing period, I think we're probably going to see 15, which means we need to go get 10 more guys in February.
Right.
And they all need to be, in my opinion, portal guys.
Yeah, I think we're going to hit it pretty hard and try to bring in as many as we can.
And that's the thing with the. I know we've seen the reports about recruiting. How much of that is fluff just for the writers to get clicks? How much do you think is actually true? Harsin isn't a big-time recruiter. He sends his position guys to do it.
That's a good question. Here's what I'll say on that. I know one, I'll call him prominent because I think he's followed by a lot of people. Recruiter actually talked to him in person in the same place. So it wasn't like just me saying that I talked to him on the internet. Asked him, was it as bad as things seem in terms of, like things not going well at the time? And he said, yes, it is not going well. And he gave me some specific examples that, nothing new that we had all seen online and things like that. But it wasn't like it's doomsday. It was like, these are the things that aren't working. And these are the things that seem to be trying to be changed. But right now it's not good. I don't know a lot of media guys personally. So I can't make an accurate or a fair assessment about who's fluffing things and who is being completely honest. I would ask you to think critically, though, and look at the body of work. Has there been a trend in certain areas and things like that? And you make your own assessments. I can tell you personally, I'm a skeptic by choice, especially about the media, even as someone who is quote unquote in the media. But I don't have a stance I can take that's fair to those guys because I know they do a lot of great work and hard work. And I don't want to take any shots at them personally because I don't, outside of one person, I don't know. And I would vouch for this one guy in particular. I trust him. But I know that's not really an answer. I know that's really boring for an answer, but that's kind of some of the just reports, think critically is my big thing for you.
Yeah. I mean, because if reports are accurate, this is the first week that every coordinator and the head coach was out recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have read and across multiple media fronts, I mean, like I do the War Eagle Reader, the Bunker, Jeremy. all these different people. I read different things. I don't just go for one source and I like what they write. I read only them. But they were saying that Harsin on Friday nights has been seen at multiple Auburn high school games because his son is playing.
Yeah.
And in my perspective, when you take on a D1 job like Auburn, you have to have sacrifices. And watching your son play is one of those sacrifices.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But everybody makes their choices about what's more important to them. I don't know if that's true, but I could logically get there, being that he's right over there. I tell you this: I used to see Malzahn leaving with the team every single reverse Tiger Walk. I have yet to see Coach Harsin. Now, I have not gotten there because they trickle out these days. It's not one big flow for reverse Tiger Walk, so it's not like it's possible I could have missed him, but I would have missed him a lot. So I always took it that he was out recruiting. That's how I always thought, for sure. And the people that I was standing around with at Reverse Tiger Walk, we all discussed it too. Have you seen Harsin? No, I didn't see Harsin. I was here before you. I didn't see Harsin. Oh, he must be out recruiting. So is that true? Probably some of it. But is it to the level that it's maybe painting? Probably not as well. But I think it's a fair thing to say, especially when you're trying to get this thing going, that you kind of do need to make sacrifices. But I'm happy that his family is also the most important thing to him. And if that's how he sees that, I actually kind of admire that about him.
Yeah.
So,
but appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for clarifying your question.
Hey, no problem.
All right.
This is my first time tuning in. I'll be sure to subscribe and everything, man.
I appreciate
Good show.
that. Thank you so much, Josh. And we'll talk to you soon. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right. We do have a lot in the bullpen. We'll get to you guys. Oh, wow. God, a lot of people in the bullpen. Oh, I am so sorry, guys. Y'all going to have to wait for just a little bit. But let me do this real quick because it seems like it's going to take a minute to get there. And I know we're not hitting a lot of questions in the comments and stuff, and I apologize for that. That's kind of the nature of nights like tonight, but I hope you guys are enjoying all the callers. Our friends at All Things Auburn .net. You want to check them out. Their logo is up here, Kyle. It's right up here in the corner. You want to check them out for a place to stay at Auburn, not just to stay, but to have a great overall experience. They're within like 0.3 walking miles of all the venues. They're right next there to Mama Goldberg's. So what else do you need? You're right next to Mama Goldberg's, a place you can stay when you visit Auburn. Very close proximity, easy walking distance to Jordan-Hare, to Neville, to Plainsman Park, and really close to downtown Auburn. It's everything that you need. So visit Tanya, talk to her, all our friends at allthingsauburn.net. They bring you the Auburn Family Night live stream every Wednesday night. So check them out. All right. I know we've already been a lot heavy in the chat and in the calls, but we're here to talk to our power of positivity guy, Mr. Kevin. What is up, sir?
War Eagle.
War Eagle, sir. Help me feel good, Kevin. I need something to feel good about.
How come those 3 Auburn players in our transfer platoon?
Dang it, Kevin, you're supposed to make me feel better. To answer your question, I don't know. I don't know them personally. I know that they are trying to do the...
Should we fire him or...
Should we fire him?
Yeah.
That's not my call. I think 4 years minimum is a basic requirement for having a stable program to be able to make a fair assessment on them. Most of the time, you don't get that.
Now, Javaris Johnson need to step up now.
Well, he stepped up a lot this season, hasn't he? And we definitely could use a lot of extra stepping up from maybe him, but also others as well. Here's the great thing though, is that, and I don't mean this to be mean to King or to Dawson.
Yeah.
They weren't really contributing a lot. And so I'm not saying that my hopes were they were going to continue to contribute and be more part of this team because they've shown the talent to be able to do that. But it's not like, and I said this in my video this week, it's not like we're losing someone that was already a huge contributing factor.
That Jamar Cobb got a
Georgia offer. I saw. Yep.
I think he still stayed with Auburn.
Well, I sure hope so. But when Kirby's smart and the national champions come calling, you got to entertain it. I would hope so, buddy. I think he probably can look at the situation and see that there's going to be some opportunity for him here. We have a history of a greater running back history than Georgia. I know Georgia fans are going to like that comment, but only time will tell, my friend.
I can't wait this Saturday.
I know you're going to be there.
Hopefully.
All right. Well, if you're there, I need to see you at Tiger Walk. Okay. Yeah. Right in front of the banner. Come find me.
Yeah. Tiger Walk starts at 9.
Oh yeah. It does start at 9. Thank you for reminding me of that. Now I'm even more depressed because I got to.
And Auburn women is beating Florida in volleyball too.
That's what I love to hear. Love to hear that. I needed that positivity tonight. You got one more question for me?
Where's Brian Orson been at these days?
Where's he been at? Well, I hope he's wherever he's been at. I hope he's getting this figured out because we sure do need him to.
He was speaking in Mobile Monday.
Yep.
Then he was going to Saraland's game, I guess this Friday night.
Yeah. I don't have his itinerary, but whatever he's doing, my advice to Coach Harsin, he doesn't need it from me, but I'm going to give it anyway.
Hopefully
do whatever you need to do to get this ship righted because I don't know that the fan base can take much more.
Hopefully we can win 5 more games.
That means beating Alabama. I love your optimism. I just don't
Yeah.
know that I believe that can happen. But four is very likely. That fifth one, though, is a bit
Beat
scary.
Texas A&M. We need to do that.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do, buddy. Well, it was great to hear from you tonight, Kevin. Thanks for calling in as always. We're going to get some of these other callers ready to go. What you got? Oh, that's really cool.
Auburn Tigers tennis shoes.
Yep, you better be wearing those when I see you on Saturday, okay?
Yeah, see you later, War Eagle.
See you later, War Eagle. I wish everybody was more like Kevin because he is the bomb.com. My goodness. It's like, so I've got like a ticker in front of me of people that are in line. And every time I let somebody else go, somebody else shows up. You guys are on fire tonight. I love it. So we're gonna have to get you guys in here quick. So I'm going to let the next one in. Mr. Jack, what's going on? Is this Jack Singley from the chat?
Yeah.
What's going on, Jack?
I just wanted your perspective on the SI article. I'm interning there, and I know the author pretty well, and I haven't heard many fans' perspective. I heard a lot of people who work at SI, but not any fans' perspective. I wanted to hear your perspective.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm a big fan of Zach Blackerby. I've interviewed him on the Auburn Roots podcast, which has been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we're getting ready to. I know I've said that a lot. It's coming back, but let him tell his Auburn story. Pretty cool story. Love Zach. Love what he does over there at Locked On Auburn. Lindsey Crosby, right? Was the author. Yes. I don't know Lindsey that well. We've interacted very few times, so I don't know him well enough to make an assessment about the article. I didn't. I'll be frank with you. I didn't really read much of it. I kind of just skimmed over it, as I think a lot of us do sometimes, just kind of seeing if it interests you. That's really just kind of my opinions on it. I trust that the research was done. I trust that the sources they used to source that were good because that's their job to do that. But I'm just a skeptic by nature, and it has nothing to do with Locked On. Has nothing to do with anybody else. That's just my nature. I guess I'm not a very trusting person, Jack.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I had. So,
well, what's your thoughts on? I mean, I know you said you interned there, right?
Yeah, I do.
What's your thoughts on maybe what perspective could you give us about the piece, or just the validity of it, or anything like that? I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
Well, I mean, I trust Lindsey, and I think the validity is. I think it's pretty. How do I put this? I think he vetted his sources, and I think he looked through what he had to look through and found the truth to an extent.
Yeah.
And I respect him for that, and I respect that. I think that it was written in truth, and it's not. I see a lot of opinion pieces, and I don't view it as that.
Yeah.
I think taking it as the truth, that is an obvious. Harsin has culture issues, in my opinion, if that is the truth. I don't understand the point of potentially taking away a player's year of eligibility just for them to not play at Auburn next year. It takes a year away from their preparation for the NFL. It takes a year away from them getting an accurate compensation from NIL. I view it as I just don't think it's a great look.
Yeah, real quick, I'll answer this question since we're talking. Josh asked, "What's the SI article?" It's written by Lindsey Crosby, addressing the rumors and notions that Coach Harsin was essentially withholding a red shirt if it was a non-medical reason. Is that a fair assessment, Jack, of the article?
Yes.
Okay,
I would say that's fair.
So SI.com, Zach Blackerby, just Lindsey Crosby, you can look him up, and that's the article that got a lot of attention today. I appreciate you giving us your perspective on it. It's always nice to hear someone who's behind the scenes. I will say this. I know from personal experience that you can vet sources and trust sources 100%, and sources that I still trust, even though we broke a story one time that was true and it changed. And so things can be true at the time or some degree of truth. So I'm not questioning that in any way, that the effort and the work wasn't done there. I'm just a skeptic. So that's just my nature, though.
Well, I understand that, and I thank you for letting me be on here, sharing my opinion.
Please call back in again, sir.
Gotcha.
All right, War Eagle. All right, let's keep going. I know, again, I'm sorry, guys, that we're not getting a lot into the chat. I'm going to try to kind of keep peeking over there, but we got people that have been waiting all night. There he is, one of our folks that's been here since the dawn of time, Mr. Dusty. What's going on?
Good evening, brother. Good
Mr.
evening.
Big Shot getting on his podcast and stuff like that. What's going on, Big?
Yeah, it's not mine. It's just, but
I
do have an agreement with with a couple podcasts to get on there and talk every week. So,
dude, are you still sick, by the way?
No, I'm good, but like
you kind of sound like
that still hasn't recovered. I feel fine. I feel great, but yeah,
Okay.
it whooped my butt, dude. It beat me up pretty good. I was out for 2 weeks.
Man, I get it. So I'll pull the curtain back. Jessica, my wife, is actually, I'm on this side of the house locked away because she's sick right now. We don't think it's the big C, but it's at least the flu. We know that for a fact. So I'm kind of separated for the time being because I had the bad flu of 2018. I ain't about to do that again.
Whatever it was, it sucked.
Yeah. All right, what's on your mind, sir?
I really didn't even want to talk football, but I want to hit some things real quick.
Go ahead.
As far as like the portal thing, I understand that we're just kind of at the point to where like things are going so bad that or you know how I feel about it. Like winning is winning and losing is losing. So like when you're losing, the things are just going to go the way they're going. And the narratives are going to get spun a certain way and everything like that. There's going to be this guy's falling crowd. Here's the thing. The portal's still new, and people like me and you that have been watching college football for decades now, it's still kind of a new thing to us, but like, this is just going to be what it is. Whenever a team is 3-4, especially at a big program like Auburn, that's going to have the expectations, and those guys have expectations for themselves, right? Like if you go back and watch the behind the scenes kind of shows that were coming out, like the Auburn Review and the Journey when they were doing the stuff.
Right.
Those guys were breaking it down. Like the first week after we beat Mercer, they were breaking it down on 15-0, meaning like their goal was to go to the national championship and go on defeat. So like no one has higher expectations than the staff and the players. Right.
Right.
So when it just starts going south, I think this is what you're going to see from now on at every team. Like guys aren't getting playing time and the team is losing. There's another option. And there are guys on our team this year that entered the portal last year. So that doesn't necessarily mean they're gone. I mean, in most of these players' cases, it probably means they don't like the current coaching staff. Some of their statements have been pretty telling in that.
Yep. Or non-statements.
Right. Appreciate Gus Malzahn. But
which I love.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, man, it's like I said, what is it? 10 guys out of those 18 out of that class. So, I mean, any way you slice it, that's just unfortunate, regardless of who you're trying to put responsibility on.
Right.
It sucks. And when you're looking at the future right now, it's like, man, whatever happens this offseason is going to have to be, it's going to have to be a miracle.
I want to clarify. Devin says that Dawson thanked.
Yeah, he did.
Did he just say the coaching staff?
No, he said Harsin specifically. He said Harsin.
Oh, he did? I missed that.
Yeah.
Then. So
he said Harsin. And then I was talking about like how late, like I said, some guys did, some guys didn't. That was the point I was making. As far as like the recruiting stuff, I don't know how much there's truth to like Harsin goes to just Auburn High games. I've seen him going to some of Quay Russol's games and stuff like that. So I don't really buy the whole like he's at every single Auburn High game. And we do have like commitments at Auburn High. They are playing big time games. They're a really good program. So he's seeing stuff there. And like I think the problem comes in with the coordinator meeting on Friday night. That's kind of where the problem comes in. That's not something that a lot of teams do. And like you have your bye week now, And that's the first time where Will Friend has gone on the road, which he's not even in the coordinator meeting. So quite frankly, that's inexcusable. You have a prospect, and I want to say his name was Kayshawn Blackstock. He's a JUCO tackle, and Harsin went to see him Saturday. They were, I think they did everything they could this week, especially considering their circumstances. Like they haven't mailed it in. But what Blackstock and his dad have said, because his dad actually like helped build some of the dorms on Donahue, and they have some former Auburn players that are mentors of this kid's family and that kind of deal. He has deep Auburn ties. They've openly said, I watched the interview that he said, I just wish I had a stronger relationship with Will Friend. He's the position coach, and we wish. So like, that's a weird thing. The kid the last commit, Wedden, however you say it, he was primarily recruited by Will Friend's assistant. It's just kind of one of the things where it's like, what's with the need we have at this position? And then, like I said, the coordinator meeting, like this being the first time that Keesall and Smetty, and then also Rock Bellantoni, because he's special teams coordinator, this being the first time they've gone on the road in week 7. That's where the controversy kind of comes in. And like, I would just say, take my opinion on out of it. Do you think that all these, like, I don't really want to get on my soapbox about this, because like, there are guys like Joseph Goodman, right, where you see what it is.
I know. Hey, hang on, Joseph Goodman. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I mean, I still see it.
We see what it is. We know what it is, right? So there's always that kind of stuff going on in the media. So I'm not saying everything is on the up and up. That's not. Right. But like, when every outlet is reporting something, that's probably like, why would they do that? They didn't do that to Gus Malzahn. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't do that to other coaches. It's silly to say that like all these people are lying. Like, to me, that's kind of, it's like, why?
Wait, saying who's lying?
The media. Like okay, so like, let's take, for example, the thing about the red shirt today, right? And the red, and like, I don't necessarily have too much of an opinion on that, just because I don't know all the details of every situation, and I don't know how the specifics of you getting redshirted versus you playing the 4 games. There's just like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm still gathering information on that before I really form my opinion. And it's also one of the things where they say what Harsin has done, a lot of coaches do. So it's kind of like, okay, because also one thing I hate, like in recruiting, is a lot of coaches offer scholarships that aren't scholarships, and it leaves a kid hanging in the wind. And I hate that crap. I think there needs to be a rule against it, because it's not.
Happens a lot with Alabama too.
They do it a lot, but like, we've done it. Everyone, I mean, a lot of big time programs do it, and I just think it's really unfair to a 16, 17-year-old and his family. But at the end of the day, like, I would just encourage everybody, like, take all the narratives out and just look at, before you try to get in one camp or the other, just look at the results. Like, that ultimately, like, if you want to sit there and have these big, long discussions about why recruiting is going one way or the other, or why the play on the field is going one way or the other, and I know that college is different and there's reasons for that, but like, kind of take an NFL approach sometimes and just go, hey, let's just focus on the field and let's just focus on the results. Because when we start arguing about all this other stuff, to me, it really turns me off from it, because it kind of becomes political, and like, it takes the fun out of it. And I know everybody's different, but like, there's people are so far this way or that way, and it's like, hey man, if you see Goodman doing something, because you know, like, you see what this is, you see that, just use critical thinking skills. Like, okay, but maybe if a guy from Auburn Live, if a guy from Rivals, and then if a guy from 24/7 all come out and say the same thing, that's probably not some big anti-Harsin agenda. Like, I've been keeping up with this for a long time, and they've never really done, like, that's just weird to me. And especially one thing to remember too is, like, and you can speak to this, all those guys are going to make more money and they're going to get more hits and more views with positive news. Like,
I actually disagree with that completely.
Do you? Because, well, then that's just me personally. Then, because personally,
I can tell you from my numbers, actually,
the
negative pays more, which is why it sucks for me.
That sucks, because personally, it's like, I've kind of tapped out a little bit, just because it's like, man, just the toxicity of it. People are so, you can't say anything, Kyle. Like, dude, I will shout out Bruce Pearl, like, because I saw some numbers on him and I posted some statistics about him. And there were literally people in the comments like putting pictures of Harsin, like, well, Harsin's an Auburn man too, because I used Auburn man in my post about Bruce Pearl. And it's like, yo, this has nothing. This is not shade at Brian Harsin. This is a strictly post about Bruce Pearl. There's nothing in here about football. You're so caught up in defending this dude or being against him. It's just, man, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I get that. I really do. You're not going to be able to control what people think or do. I've learned that lesson a lot. All you can do is try to model the behavior that you wish others would. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. You know this stuff. That's not, I'm just saying it to say it because that's what I do, because that's my job, just to say things, even if they make no sense. What you want people to do, even if it's not popular, and even model it. That's what I try to do. Not well all the time. I try to model positivity, which gets categorized a lot of the time when there's not context involved as sunshine pumping. But that's how I just prefer to be, because it's a much happier place to be, not focusing on the bad, even when it sucks right now. And let me say this for the people in the back who haven't heard me say it yet. It sucks right now. It sucks real bad right now. This isn't 3-9 Gene Chizik last year bad, but it sucks a big one.
Versus our last 10 Power 5 teams, we're 1-9. So we're kind of, you can split it up over seasons, but we're in that territory. And then I wanted to ask you some basketball questions, but
yeah, go ahead.
The one thing I wanted to punt to real quick was I saw where Rob said, Dustin, when you find that perfect world, sell me a ticket. I hear you, bro. Here's what I would say. There's parallels, very sucky parallels between my pro team and my college team. Both are 3-4. Both have lost 4 of their last 5 games. Okay.
Hey, you made your bed by choosing that team.
The Buccaneers have the worst winning percentage of any North American sports franchise. I know what it is. I know what it is. But we would win the Super Bowl in a COVID year when nobody could go.
Hey, I'm not discounting that. Y'all won it. Take the credit.
Yeah. But the point I'm making is, Rob, is like, with the Buccaneers discussion, and it's obviously not good because we have Tom Brady, so there's expectations. There's not these whole side discussions about ethics and yada 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 and fighting. Like, I don't get in on Buccaneers stuff and see a bunch of fighting between the fans. It's just, hey, we suck on third down on defense. It has to get better. Hey, the first down we run the ball 80% of the time. The teams are on to it. Like, it's just very more matter of fact, and that's kind of what I would just, and like I say all the time, and everybody's different. Maybe some of y'all love the narrative type stuff, but for me, man, and I appreciate it, Debbie, because we're 3-4 and still in first. But for me, it's just, man, let's talk about the ball. But who do you think leads the team in points this year, basketball?
Who's going to
leads the team in scoring? Because it's such a balanced.
Ooh, that's a good question. My gut is Janai Broom.
Yep.
That's my gut. I don't know what to make of Yawan Traor's injury, and like how that's, because we saw how the injury affected. Now Allen's was much different, much bigger extent, all that, get that, but it's still an injury, right? And you can see what it can do to somebody. My gut is Janai Broom. I kind of want to believe that it's going to be someone like Wendell, but I'll tell you this: if Wendell Green is our leading scorer, I'm gonna feel really good about our team, because I know that we're going to get production from Janai. I know that we're going to get production most nights from KD. We're going to get probably from Yawan, or from a lot of guys. But I think if Wendell can be consistently one of our top scorers, we're going to have a really, really good team. Because what did we talk about a lot last year? Guard play, right? It was a little, at least in offensive production of the guard play, we could have had a little bit of extra.
It was just the up and down of it. It was
exactly consistency. Yeah. So if we get consistent night in and night out, top 2 scoring from Wendell Green, and I'll say that for Trey Donaldson too. Whoever at the guard, if a point guard 1-2 spot is our second leading scorer, maybe sometimes pushing first, I'm gonna feel real good. But right now, I'm gonna sit on Janai Broome.
Excuse me. I think that answer is good too because I feel like he'll be the most consistent. I'll tell my brother this though. I really feel like Johan is the most talented player on the team, and I feel like his trajectory will be very similar to Chuma's. Like I think he could come out this year, but I think if he does, you'll kind of maybe see like a JT Thor thing where he falls farther than like he needs to come back another year.
Right.
And then I really think that second year you'll see it. But I think that by the end of the season, you're going to be looking at it saying, whoa, yo. And I think that like Chance had that potential, but now it's just kind of set back a year. And that sucks because he's probably will develop into the most consistent shooter from deep on the team. Mm-hmm. And I still feel like that's going to be a problem for us. Yeah. But like from the scrimmage, everyone, is kind of whatever about going 3 for 17, which it's a scrimmage.
Which, by the way, my understanding is those stats were not supposed to get out there. So who leaked them?
That touchdown pass from TJ to Camden Brown and that scrimmage wasn't supposed to get out either. And Harsin wasn't happy about it. But yeah, my thing with that is like, yeah, we do have to shoot better, obviously from 3, but my thing would be more like, just don't shoot it 17 times. Like if it's not falling, I mean, yeah, we're just going to have to like KD's when I played basketball, I kind of relate to KD a lot. Like, I can almost feel it in warm-ups. Like, okay, I got it today. And then if not, it's like, so when you're not in that mode, when the shots aren't falling, just get to the basket. And KD's going to be a beast defensively regardless. He's always going to bring that energy, and his skill set is just he's a defensive monster. So when we get into these teams that really kind of tighten us up, make us play this half-court game, are we going to be able to work the shot clock a little bit and find good, consistent looks? Because so far in Bruce's tenure, and I'm not knocking Bruce, I love him, but we score more points when we're able to get in the fast break, when we're able to get rolling. And then when we do that, when that happens in the jungle, it's impossible.
It's over.
The crowd gets,
you're done.
Yeah. We hit
you're not that guy, pal.
A couple alley-oops, a couple crazy threes, and you're not going to win the game. And the numbers speak for that. So when we go on the road in these SEC tournament games and A&M plays the kind of defense they played against us, are we going to be able to get good looks at the basket? That would be my biggest concern going into the season. Because I predicted, I looked at the schedule and I went 24-7. I've got a loss to Memphis, and I have that because I think we'll be 8-0, 9-0 at that point.
They better not, because I'm planning on going to that game.
I hear you. I think it'll be a close game, but it's just one of the things where like you're not going to win them all, and at that point we would be like 8-0 or something. And then we go on that West Coast trip. I feel like we'll split out there because those are two solid teams.
Gotcha.
And but yeah, I'm looking at 23-8, 24-7, and then it's just obviously, we want to be going in the right direction come tournament time, the way we were in 2019 versus winning 19 games in a row last year, and then by the end of it, kind of going down. So, man, I'm really excited. I was going to be at the George Mason game, but missing work for like 10 days. I have to kind of grind it out and get back but I'll still be hitting up a game pretty soon. So
awesome.
Yeah, buddy. I can't wait.
This was much needed. This was much needed to round out our evening tonight. So I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah. Basketball school, baby.
It is. It's almost here. It is almost here. I'm so excited. Well, Dusty, buddy, thank you for calling in tonight and giving your perspective on everything.
All right, War Eagle, brother.
All right, War Eagle. We did have one other person that was in the bullpen. If you want to, and they've disappeared. If you want to call back in, or if anybody else wants to call back in real quick, we'll have to do it rapid fire. Please feel free to do so. I'm sorry I missed you, whoever that was that I think I know who it was, but I don't want to say just in case I embarrass them. But feel free to call back in. We've got a few more minutes left. We will do that. I'm going to hit some of your comments and questions unless we get some more calls here. So post them again right now. Let me give you a couple reminders before we get too far into this. If you have not subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe. We are doing a giveaway right now. You need to do two things. All the details are in the description, but you need to do two things. Subscribe, and you need to leave one original, relevant, authentic comments, the way I describe it, in the comment section, not the live chats, the comment sections of any videos from the announcement date. So basically any video that you're currently watching, pretty much. You'll be pretty obvious. You can win a signed Auburn football. If you want to find out the information about what that ball is, it's actually a full prize package. You can find that in the description. Check out the links also for other ways that you can help support our content here. Keep the lights on. Had a good show tonight. A lot of new faces too. A lot of good callers tonight. If you want to be a channel member, you can do that. $1 a month. Just hit that join button, or you can join the booster club and get some extra perks for yourself at different tiers, starting at $1 a month too. And obviously, want to thank our friends at All Things Auburn for bringing the show to you tonight. Debbie, I agree. Smash that like button if you haven't, guys. I'm getting super excited for basketball season. Remember, last year I had no plans to do post-game live streams after every single game, pretty much all of them. There was one or two I missed for reasons. We're doing it again this year. I wasn't going to do it, but you demanded it. This is a channel that is by you, for you. If you want it, if it's in my capabilities, we will do it for you, because I want to give you the content that you so much desire. Gonna have to be a comeback for volleyball team tonight. They have had a lot of comebacks, so I have not been following Devin, so I'll go check in on them in a little bit, but it's not a stranger team to that. But hey, if they lose to Florida tonight, it's not the end of the world. Had a great season so far and plenty of extra time left in the season to do big things. Thomas, thank you, sir, for the super chat. Appreciate you. That is very, very unnecessary, and thank you so much for that. Let's see here. Sorry you couldn't call in tonight. Hey, listen, we missed you. We missed you. Would love to have heard from you. Kyle, I will be in section 2 Saturday. I believe that I am sitting in section 1, 3, somewhere close to you. I believe I'm sitting down in the lower part. Like, I think it's like row 10 or something like that. I haven't seen my tickets yet. I've just been offered tickets, and I will be sitting. I don't want to confirm who or deny that yet, because it hasn't. He may be watching right now. I don't want to assume that they're mine, because he was kind enough to offer them to me. But I will be sitting next to a prominent Auburn personality, an Auburn social media personality. It'll be clear I'm sitting next to down there. So hopefully we can meet up down there. If not, come to Tiger Walk. I will be there. Corey, great question. So listen, I have had the opportunity to get connected with some of our club teams in terms of to interview people. If somehow this individual is watching, I'm so sorry that I've dropped the water polo podcast episode I've wanted to do. I have lacrosse or rugby. I've got an opportunity to meet with as well. I want to do some more of those things, and we're getting towards those things. Y'all just gonna have to be patient with me, but we're about all things Auburn here. All things Auburn, like our sponsor. That's what we're about here. And sports, ton of sports, but we're about anything. If y'all want to talk about my recommendations of where to eat in Auburn, we can do that too. That's what we're about here. Tiger Walk in front of the sign. I'll be the guy with his camera up on like not a tripod, but it's kind of a monopod. So no, it is not Clint, though I'm sure Clint and I will hang out at some point during the day, if not at Tiger Walk. It's another E2C person. Let's see here. Only 3 games left. So listen, folks, if you hear nothing else from me tonight and from Unbeaten Lake, bringing it up here, Auburn football is precious. It is finite, and all things are. You only get so many of these opportunities. Does it feel good right now? No, it doesn't. I've said that 1,000 times here. But Auburn football is better than no Auburn football. I hope that you guys will pack out that stadium, will tune in, try to find a way to be positive, support this team. I'll be there. I'm excited. Only 3 home games left. I think I said 3 total, but 3 home games left. Take advantage of them, or give up your tickets if you don't want to, because we'll take them. top of the hill at Tiger Walk. That I've heard that's a great place right at the very beginning of it, but I always have to have that shot of the Tiger Walk banner because I know the individuals too that have that. So anyway, dynasty in equestrian. We have a bit of a dynasty now. The last 2 years, we have dropped the ball in the playoffs, so to speak. Tournament is what they call it. But we are a dynasty. Greg Williams has a question for being the most, currently prolific coach right now. Thank you for the reminder, Devin. Sunday nights. Don't miss it. Usually at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we do a live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We'll be talking about sports a lot, but anything really. We take requests. Devin got a request, a question or topic suggested on the show last week. Please do come to that. We'd love to see some of y'all there. You can listen to the podcast anywhere once it's uploaded the next day, but you can watch the live recording and the antics before and after there. Did Bruce recruit any more seven footers this go around? I don't know. Was it Bay Fall? I haven't really followed basketball recruiting as much lately. I don't follow recruiting a whole lot at all because it's, in my opinion, it can become very toxic, especially for me. So we'll probably be hearing and talking about that a little bit more. I've been through the rough times. I'm not going anywhere. Love to hear that. All right. We're not getting more callers in, so let me go ahead and close down the phone lines. Guys, I appreciate y'all so much. Letting me start early tonight too. I had a feeling it was going to be a little hot tonight and lots of people wanting to call in. I enjoyed the heck out of tonight. Sometimes you come on this show and you're like, during call nights, man, what's the temperature of the room going to be? What's it going to be? Is it going to be productive? Am I going to just be having to yell at people? I've only done it once. Sorry, Brian. Not Brian Fulcher, Brian Peeler. Well, I just said his last name. Oh, well. Sometimes I just need to put my foot in my mouth. Sorry, Brian. I enjoy this. This is why I do this, because I like meeting with y'all, even when we don't agree. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. We are a small little operation. We're growing every day. But my hope is that we never get too big to lose this, because this is awesome. This is why I do what I do, because y'all make me happy to be part of the Auburn family. All right, enough touchy-feely stuff. Check out those links in the description. Smash the like button on the way out. Thank y'all so much for being here. Till we talk to you guys again, War Eagle.